I want to tell you about the worst Christmas present I ever received, and we're going to get to it in a moment, but I need to start at the beginning. Basically, in December 2011, I spent 10 days with my dad and his wife, Pat, in their home. I've never been to Ahwatukee, not much to do there. I think the name is Hopi for land of 8 identical failing strip malls, because that's all that there is there. You look over here and it's just like a Chili's and a K Jewelers having a going out of business sale, and over here it's just swaths of barren desert, and you don't know which is the before and which is the after picture. It's not inspiring. So I spent a lot of that 10 days in the house, and my dad and Pat have really created their own little world inside this house. And it is a world in which 99% of the conversations are conducted through baby speak. And not only do they talk to each other in baby speak, but Pat has a pet Bichon named Woody, and Pat will talk to me as the dog in a baby voice. So like, I'll show up after driving from LA, and Woody will run up and Pat will be behind him like, "Hello, mister, how was your drive?" And I just have to be like, "Fine." Like, ran into some traffic, leaving the city, and like I don't even know who I'm supposed to be addressing, but like it's frustrating because there's just this layer of cuteness over everything in the house, and I mean that literally. Like every surface is covered in some kind of Hummel figurine or like an accented throw pillow. Like my dad does his crossword puzzles with this pen that is gold and entirely encrusted with fake jewels. And I think, yeah. And like this is just the pen. Like if you ask to borrow a pen, that's what they give you. It's just like, ugh. The scotch tape dispenser is in the shape of a lady's high-heeled shoe. Like nothing can just be what it is. Like every object is competing to be the most adorable thing in the room, and it's just exhausting. It's exhausting just looking around. And the other thing is, there's this unspoken agreement that you don't talk about anything unpleasant in the house. You got to keep it light. And unpleasant topics include, but are not limited to, politics and the past. Like, that's off limits. Like, life began when Dad and Pat met on eHarmony in 2007, and I need to respect that. So like, when I'm there, it's like, I just have to pretend like nothing of note happened the first 28 years of my life. Like, having a loving mother who raised me, like the fact that my dad was happily married to her for 28 years before losing her to cancer, like that's just white noise. Let's forget about that, and let's all focus on this wine decanter that's shaped like the Eiffel Tower. It's a hoot! So, I really resent their approach to the world, clearly. And so, but this year, what happens is I go home and I just regress into this like angsty teenager, which I think happens to a lot of us, but this year I was like, I'm not gonna do that. I'm here for 10 fucking days. Like, I'm not gonna regress. I'm gonna handle Christmas like an adult. I'm going to relate to them on their level, and I'm going to make this the smoothest 10 days it could possibly be. A lot of weed got smoked while I was there, which really helped. But I'm gonna walk you through a couple of events that happened. Like day one, I went in, and this was my plan. I'm like, I'll talk to them about movies. Like everyone likes movies. That's innocuous. Hey guys, like, have you seen any movies lately that you enjoyed? And my dad was like, hey, we finally got around to seeing Slumdog Millionaire. I'm like, okay, great, like, what did you think? Pat's response, too much poverty. Like, it's not that she disagreed with how the poverty was being handled. She just didn't like the fact that it was there. Like, she doesn't need that when she goes to the movie. She's trying to have fun. But I'm being an adult, right? So I'm just like, I get it. You wanted less Slumdog, more Millionaire. Hey, moving on. So, cut to Christmas morning. We start off the morning with stockings before we get to the actual presents. And you know, Dad and Pat open their stockings, and he's gotten her an Andre Bocelli CD. She's gotten him a Best of Journey CD. He's like, well, thank you, sweetheart. Thank you, mister. So then it gets to the Bichon, Woody, and me. We both have stockings. One of them is empty. Guess whose? I'll give you a hint. The one that was not empty contained a chew toy in the shape of a bone that said, "Been there, chewed that." This is how I keep from exploding. I just go around the house like just taking pictures of the objects, just sending them to my brother. So my stocking was just empty. And I'm looking at Pat, I'm like, what? And she's like, oh, I'm sorry, I just didn't have time with all the shopping and everything. And like, here's the thing, like I'm a 33-year-old man. I don't need a stocking, but if you put a stocking out there with my name on it, I'm gonna look inside. Like, you're making a jump out of me on Christmas morning. Fuck. But I'm being an adult, so I'm just like, oh, it's alright, Woody and I can just share the chew toy. And she's like, oh, we should take a picture of that. You fucking won't. And so then we get to the gift exchange, and this was the thing that tested my mettle more than anything else. I opened this present from them. Show it to you real quick. Now, this takes some explanation. So, all right. So, at first I was just baffled because, like, again, I'm 33, I don't have children, like, if I was a pedophile I could use this as bait, but I'm not, so, and I just don't understand why they bought me a teddy bear. And then I look at this card and I see that it's called Boompa Bear. Now, Boompa was what we called my grandfather who died earlier that year, alright? My dad's dad. So now I'm like, oh shit, why is this thing called Boompa Bear? And I read on, and it says, this unique bear was specially designed from remnants of clothing Boompa left behind. So I realize, in a flash of horror, that this bear's flesh is made out of my dead grandfather's shirts. Alright? Now, Boompa fought in the Korean War, okay? He was a salesman for Folgers for 35 years. He smoked 2 packs of cigarettes a day. Boompa was a fucking man, alright? You don't turn that man into this. I don't know why you want to. Like, commission a portrait. Like, even if that turns out horribly, at least there's some dignity to the notion of that. Like, Boompa didn't like teddy bears. He definitely didn't like teddy bears that were this horribly designed. Like, look at this hat. Like, he never had a hat like this. Like this mini Elmer Fudd hat. I remember the hat that this was made out of. It was like an old English golf cap, and I wish they had given that to me because I could have worn that. Like, I can't do shit with this, and like, I was getting so mad looking at it, and all I was thinking, I'm like, oh, you know, why stop at the clothes? Why not just chop up his coffin and make a little table for the bear to have tea at, you know? It's like, melt his car so we can have a buggy to drive back to his teddy bear cave. That'd be adorable. Like, also, remnants? Like, remnants of clothing. Is that really the best word? Like, that makes it sound like Boompa stepped on an IED, or like he was just torn to bits by a bunch of deranged elders at his home who got the wrong medication. Like, everything about this was nightmarish to me. But all I said was, thank you, that's very nice, because I'm being an adult. And what I learned from Dad and Pat that year was, like, sometimes being an adult just means shutting your fucking eyes to the horrors that are around you, in this case, them. And the worst part about this, though, is that there's part of me that actually feels like I need to honor and respect this thing, because it sort of is my grandfather in a way. So, like, I've been, like, trying to find a place for it in my apartment, and, like, I had it on my bed for a while, and then I was just, like, staring at it warily from a doorway, like, are you proud of me, Boompa Bear? Proud of me yet? But the upside of how emotionally shut down my dad and Pat are is the following year when he called and said, are you coming home for Christmas? I was just like, no. And he was like, okay. And no questions asked. So I'm out. That's it.